needed on the plans that were at hand. Agenda additions, if there are any agenda additions, this is a special meeting. The only thing that can be added to the agenda would be relative to redistricting, so I see no calls for agenda additions. The citizens' comments, I have 5 cards presently. All of them are related to the purpose of this meeting today. According to our policy, we have a total of 15 minutes on an item. So I'll, at the appropriate time in the public hearing, I'll call the individuals, and you can divide the time up equally, but you have a total of 15 minutes to state your comments. So at this time, I'm going to call out the cards that I have, and you all can come in whatever order that you would like. Come to the podium, state your name and address for the record, and you may proceed. I have Artist Cash, Michael Williams, Joe Wills, Lord Thompson, Jackie Dozier. Okay, those are the 6 that I have from the audience. And I have Ms. Bowman. Ms. Bowman, would you like to address as a citizen? Or?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Okay, so who would like to be first? You may come forward, state your name and address for the record, and you may proceed.
Good afternoon. My name is Jackie Dozier. My address is 3146 and a half Blanchard Road, District 2, and I'm here representing myself as a citizen and also the Northern Central Louisiana Interfaith and the National Action Network. I have a very brief statement. The Caddo Parish Commission should adopt a plan that can pass legal and judicial muster. I'm not sure if what is being proposed in Plan 9 does that. If it is adopted, we will be asking the Justice Department to carefully review for Section 2 any violations and Section 5 for any discriminatory effects. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Dozier. Next, please.
Dr. Artist Cash, 119 Waters Edge Drive, Shreveport, Louisiana, 71106. Mike Thibodeau is my person, commissioner. And so I come again to you to talk to you about something that's close to my heart, and that is the future. I think it's important for us to not be procrastinators. As you know, a procrastinator is somebody that want to stay with the way things are and not look at the future. It's important for us to start looking futuristic in what we're doing. You all have a responsibility today to do some amazing things. I'm so excited about being a part of this because some years or some weeks back, I now, because of the energy that was spurred by Mr. Joe Will's article and my participation, now we're getting our juices running and flowing the way that they should flow. It's important that we address this. As you know, pre-clearance is something that we need to make sure we get it right. Otherwise, it's going to come back to bite us again. And so I'm encouraged when I see the input that people have come up with. I talked with one of the commissioners last night. I thought he was going to be here, Matthew Lynn, and he talked about he wanted to do a plan. I'm excited when I see creativity working because we were all made in the image and likeness of God. So I'm encouraged when I see this taking place. I want us to really, really take a hard look at what's going on now. Obviously, I am in more favor to National Action Network's plan, and that's because that was the plan that we went and got signatures from the community in. You're going to be able to hear from our historian, Joe Wills, today. He's going to tell you the history of how we got to where we are now and how we don't want to take a step back and go and try to change all you guys to at-large districts. And so it's important for us to at least move ahead and do some great things together. I believe collectively we as a people can do some tremendous things for this parish, and that this parish will be known as the parish that continued to set the standard for the state of Louisiana. Thank you very much, and we expect great things out of all of you today.
Thank you. Okay, next person, please. One minute call, your name? Historian? Okay, but Joe Will. Forward, state your name and address for the record. You may proceed, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. My name is Joe Wills. I live at 1619 East Street, Shreveport, Louisiana. Before I get started, I just want to let you know one thing. This department I hired some more lawyers in civil rights background to oversee the redistricting. Just for you to make sure it's the record state. What we've been doing won't work no more. So we gotta get ready for it. Okay, also, we have a signed name on this sheet in support of Dr. Honest Cash for redistrict for Caddo Parish Planning Commission. I got 7 other signatures here I'd like to submit to the commissioner for the record. I'm not going to still have to come.
We need to get to Ms. Samuel, please.
Okay, and also, years ago, when I was I ain't that old, I was very young. When we started this out, I was along with Henry Huckley. And Mama Bull, Black United for Less Leadership. Which we were trying to get about justice. At that particular time, we were trying to get what was right for black folks, to be represented, to be treated like they should be treated, and get what was theirs. So we couldn't get it all the way, so we decided to sell 5 suits. The first thing, Caddo Parish police jury at that particular time was 20. And everybody ran at large. Anything in Shreveport, you had to run at large. We had a black couldn't live nowhere under the sun because people was heavily populated white. You had no white registered voters than blacks. So the running that large ain't gonna work. So what we did, we ran the strategy, we ran the meeting. So Henry Record said, we got to go, we got to file with the Justice Department. How we gonna go out doing it? So he said, each one of us out to our neighborhood. Say, run for a position. We know you're gonna lose. That's what I did. I ran out of Stony Hill, I lost. But we took all of that data and took it to Dawkins down in the federal building under the Justice Department and showed Dawkins that the black couldn't win running that large in the Syracuse. And the Justice Department said, oh, well, okay, no, this ain't gonna work. So the black folks said, wait a minute. We got more early boys in Shreveport than black folks. He said, I'm very clear about this. This is the Justice Department talking about. He said, I'm very clear about this, but if you had 250,000 people and 150,000 people pay taxes, and the other registered voters, the other 150 people that are not registered, they still paying taxes, you can't take their money without them being represented. But they're going to say, well, what are we going to do? So we're going to create a district that are back from getting elected to serve on youth commission. At the public year, they can. That's what this is all about. This was created so blacks could have somebody to represent them to make sure that they got their fair share of what was coming in the city. Then it went on to the city council. So they come back and say, well, we want to negotiate with the White Chamber of Commerce. Husband say, we want to. The Justice Department said, y'all work it out. White Chamber said, we give you one. The Justice Department come back and say, have y'all worked it out? They said, no, we can't work it out. They said, give it to us, we'll take back to Washington. When they come back to Washington, they bought back 3. They said, oh no, you got 3 here. Because you're going by the population. We're going to be fair about it. When you go by population, you got more whites than you have blacks. So you got 4 white seats. But you got 3 black seats. But when the population now is 55% black and 41% white, you need more blacks on the city council. And this is what we have now. Let me tell you, you can put this off to hell freeze over. The Justice Department gonna get it. You might as well do it right, because the game they played before, 2 years ago, I think Mr. Jones was on it too, they ain't gonna work no more. They got their, I got my eye, and the Justice Department got their eye. Not only on Shreveport and Louisiana, but all over the United States. That's why they have these other lawyers. So if you're gonna do it right, be fair, because if you don't, The Justice Department gonna do it for you. Thank you. All right, that's all. Sure. Oh, and one more thing, not next week, not next year, not 2 years from now, we want it done now. We want it done now. We know what's right and what's fair, right now. Thank you, sir.
Okay, next, Lord, you next, Lord Thompson.
I'm Lloyd Thompson, P.O. Box 383, Shreveport, Louisiana. I represent the NAACP. I come today to say simply that we can't afford to continue to be the laughing stock of the state. You know that Louisiana is dealing with a redistricting issue in Baton Rouge, and we're dealing with a redistricting issue here today. I ask you to look in your hearts and your souls, and let's make the right decision. Let's make the right decision that's going to serve every citizen in Caddo Parish. Happened that we were watching, we knew that it's in your heart to make the right decision, but we come here today to say, make the right decision. Look at the plans, and make the plan that's going to better serve the citizens of this parish. Thank you.
Okay.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, Vice Chairman, to all the commissioners on the district, to my commissioner, Commissioner Carl Pearson. My name is Michael Williams. I live at 2101 Carver Place, Shreveport, Louisiana, Caddo Parish, Louisiana. Let me say that I rest on the shoulders of many giants who paved the way for me to even have the right to vote and to be able to be elected when I was a young commissioner years ago. I hope that the constitutional rights, the voters' right of our citizens, the integrity that this country was built on, because we live in the greatest country in the world and the greatest democracy that works throughout this world. And I hope that that we will find some common ground to address this most historical issue, the historical vote you're about to make. It's not about black and white, it's about wrong and right. And I know that all of you can serve all the districts in its district. If we were to change faces, I think all of you can serve all the districts regardless of the color of one's skin. But I believe you all serve well, and I know that you guys have an awesome task before you today. And I think the nine plan that Mr. Jordan had doesn't go far enough. Well, I think he's worked hard, he's worked diligently to do his great job, and he has done. And I hope that we would go a step further. Look at other plans, and I hope other commissioners have plans. It's not the cash plan, then what plan do we have? Because I believe the nine plan doesn't go enough. And I hope that that we would take a stand and provide the courage to change. It takes courage to change, and I hope you would prick your heart, your conscience, your mind, and do what's right, not what's popular. Because when the history books are written, your name is the one going to be in the books. And the kids going to say, did they stand up for us like people stood up for me? And I hope the answer will be yes when we leave for today. And I hope that we will continue this great democracy we have, and Voting Rights Act and constitutional right for the least of thee, the poor, the less fortunate. Because oftentimes when you change districts, people don't know where they go vote at. And I think that's something we need to avoid at this time. So there is a formula for success in these districts. I hope you have people of influence. I hope it's a 70-30. That's what the Justice Department see as one doesn't make work. We do have a plan, make sure that's 70% majority and 30% minority, where the 30% can be 30% of influence of the outcome of the vote. And at that time, without further ado, I respect whatever decision you make today. We will live with the decision you make, because people elected you to do a job. And oftentimes that job comes with some sacrifice. And I hope you will look at the progress made in this country, in this city alone. We elected our first African-American mayor. We elected our first African-American president in the United States of America. And I know we can do big things in Shreveport and Caddo Parish. In order for us to become the next great city of the South must change. The change must come from the elected people that the people elected. and I hope you do your job. Like again, I say, respect what you do, vote what you think is best for our district, for our community. And like I said today, whatever you decide to do, we'll live with it. May God bless you, and I hope the vote outcome will be what's best for the citizens. Thank you very much.
Is there anyone else in the audience? Okay. All right, Mr. Craig B. Lee, come forward, please. State your name and address for the record. You may proceed.
Craig Lee, 1035 Eustis Street, Shreveport, Louisiana, 71104. Just wanted to echo some of the same sentiments as Michael. I think you guys have done a pretty good job in terms of the analysis of all the plans that have been brought forth. I think it's been a pretty good situation. Some of the concerns that Mr. Williams voiced a few meetings ago about the process that happened in 2000 at the city council level, I didn't particularly think that that was a major issue here. As long as the districts are fairly divided, and the issues of compactness and the things that we've already talked about are addressed, I think we're going to have a good situation. So whatever plan that you guys go with, as long as equity is a part of the process and justice is a part of the process, I'm in full favor of that. Thanks.
Okay. Anyone else that would like to address this body on this public hearing relative to ordinance 5101 of 2011 regarding redistricting of Caddo Parish for the commission? You may do so. You don't have to have a call. We're going to give everybody an opportunity. Anyone else? Okay, next we have Ms. Bowman. Ms. Bowman said she would like to address us as a citizen.
Sure would. Joyce Bowman, 3623 Milton Street, Shreveport. I am here as a citizen of District 5 and as the representative for that particular area. My first concern is, let me put this on record first. I have no problem with the creation of a majority African American district. No problem at all. However, the number one concern is the continuity of District 5. On this past Friday night, I saw a map, and there's an amendment here for today. Amendment number 2 to ordinance number 5101, 2011, Plan 10B, Precinct 32 shall be split into a new Precinct 32 and the new Precinct 116 as follows. That was not previously discussed with me at all. I want it on record today. And Mr. Clark, I don't want to paraphrase what I'm saying here today. I would like for my comments to be verbatim. There is another issue that I had a problem with, and I'm not going to say anything behind anyone's back here that I won't say to their faces. What the other concern I had was an email that was sent out to each and every one of you commissioners, and the date on this was June 5th. When I read this, I found several statements that were absolutely not true. I want this on record because I'm sure this email is going to be a record for somebody else. And I need to clarify this. This was an email that Commissioner Lynch sent to every commissioner. I called Commissioner Lynch
I discussed this with her this morning. And to let her know that after reading this, and I'm not going to read the whole long email, but what I will do is read the parts that specifically addresses me. Also, I am waiting to hear back from Joyce about some concerns she had about changes from Plan 10 to 10A. 10A specifically incorporated her requested changes, so I'm not clear about what her specific concerns are after the changes were made. Going to go down a little further. It says the only problem I see with Plan 10 in District 4, African American voting strength has been diluted. Plan 10 and Plan 9 are identical for District 4. They are identical because Joyce refused changes to her district that will allow for African American voting strength to be maintained in District 4. The domino effect of changes she either made or refused to accept in every plan created division in Districts 2, 7, and packing in Districts 5 and 6. However, I don't think these will present a barrier to preclearance because the percentages are not of epic proportion. In my opinion, for justice to throw the baby out with the bathwater. I want it on record, not one time did Commissioner Lynch and I discuss District 4. And I asked her that question this morning during our conversation. Did we ever discuss District 4? She said no. Let the record reflect that, please. I have no problem at all, but I could not accept the fact that changes were being made in District 5, specifically when I saw the Friday night map that had 32, Precinct 32 changed to 116. And I needed to get answers and clarifications on that. So, I want the record to be straight. Mr. Clark, thank you for your time.
Okay. Is there anyone else, anyone in the audience that would like to address this body relative to redistricting? Okay, at this time, I would allow the commissioners, if they would like to make comments or ask questions of any of the persons that had made comments in our public hearing. And I'll start with the recognition system, if you would like. We have Ms. Lynch. Anyone else? Okay, Ms. Lynch.
My question, I think, is for Gary. My question is primarily for Gary, our demographer in this whole process. Gary, I kind of, and I'm going to ask you to kind of give us a little background on the Voting Rights Act and how that impacts our redistricting process. Because one of the things that I think that I can say that I assumed was that everyone realized that what I call the elephant in the room, meaning that Louisiana is one of a less than a dozen states that are still under what's called pre-clearance, whose plans have to be pre-cleared by the Justice Department because of the egregious history of discrimination and dilution of minority voting strength and so on and so forth. And just how, if any, did that impact the plan that is before us today, which is Plan 9? And also for you to kind of explain to us what retrogression means in terms of redistricting, as well as what packing means in terms of redistricting.
We're one of 11 states that are under this particular set of code. Plus, there's some individual cities in which you have a large variation in either racial or ethnic mixes. And for the main purpose of this discussion, The 1965 Voting Rights Act is the key to everything that we do. And the Department of Justice has a set of guidelines that really help to define the best practices in conducting a redistricting. To boil it down, you cannot retrogress. A retrogression means that you take one or more districts, minority districts, and you make them white when they have always had commonalities of interest, when they've always had a cohesive neighborhood in its simplest terms. So you can't back off. You can't peck. And that's, we're going to talk about some variations in that. But let's say that you have an area that had never had a very large amount of minority representation. And you create a district that scoops everybody together and puts them in there. So you have very, very racially divided, almost an apartheid situation in which you have super white, super black, in other places super Hispanic or super Asian or whatever it is. To contrive a district to do that, you can't do that. There's an issue in where people live and have always lived. And Caddo is a good example of these, where, let's say if you wanted to do a minority district in District 1, I'd like to see somebody try to do it. Because it is rural, it's very white, it does have black constituents in it, but it is overwhelmingly white. District 9 is another one of these. District 8 is another one of these that are very, very white districts. You also have a series of districts in this parish that have traditionally been African American. And it is largely because they are very densely populated, they are compact, they're cohesive, they understand, just like any other group. If you live in a set of neighborhoods, can you identify it? Yes, and they'll probably tell you they live in Moortown, Queensboro, Allendale, Weston, whatever. So there are some very dense African American districts. 6, 5, 7, of course, immediately come to mind. 5. If you take what has gone on before and you use it as a basis for any plan that you build, you try to, in best practices, identify areas of cohesion and try to keep them together when you can. You try to mimic the population by the number of districts. Some of the figures that were tossed out earlier are incorrect for the parish. The parish is more evenly split. It's about 49-47 white to black. So if you have a body of 12 members, as is this one, and you have 6 white and 6 African Americans, even though some of those are more supersaturated white or black, some are going to be closer to the middle. For example, District 12, Mr. Epperson's district, is an emerging black district. It is growing. It's going to be. It, on the surface, looks like it's 50-50. But when you examine it more closely, it's a black district. And how can I say that?
Hold on, Gary, I think you're kind of going beyond.
No, I'm going to finish this.
Okay, all right, you got to.
You asked the question, Ms. Lynch, I want to finish it.
Okay.
Then I'll be happy to go on something else.
Okay.
You have a district that looks like it's half and half, but the question is 18 plus adults, not voters, but a voter pool, what's called a VAP, voter age population. Mr. Epperson's district, District 12, has about a 10-point spread, and when it comes time to go to the polls, that's a black district. There have been a lot of comments on whether or not it is, whether or not it isn't emerging. Yes, it's emerging. I said that myself. You've got another district that is, depending on how it's configured, and we talked about this from the very beginning, District 10, Mr. Cox's district. Southern Hills has been mentioned a lot in this ongoing conversation. District 10 is, depending on how it is configured, it is emerging. It is roughly half and half, with some precincts brought in, some precincts brought out. It will either be part of 10, it'll be part of 6, it'll be part of 7, it'll be part of 11. It's a cosmopolitan district, racially, ethnically, geographically, urban and rural. And it has been one of those points of contention throughout. Those are the two. Any real substantive talk about the others pale to 10 and 12.
Okay. Okay, so can you explain packing and retrogression a little bit?
Retrogression is when you can't back off.
Right.
You can't have less. Packing is when you have a very one-sided population. I thought I did that, I'm sorry. Packing is when you have one side of a population when there is not a large available pool to add to or take from. You always balance that against local concerns. You always balance both of those against neighborhood cohesion. Every time you can, every chance you can take, you try to do that.
But the primary is population, and I know that you can use the ACS, the American Community Survey,
Yes.
to talk about those other demographics, cohesion.
And the census as well.
All of that, that census data. But the primary driver is population.
Yes.
And when you look at Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act, as well as Section 5 of the Voting Rights Act, what we are hoping to achieve is what I would call a justice-proof plan. One that does not violate either of those sections.
Well, I agree. We don't want to do either 2 or 5.
Right, exactly. And so specifically when I looked at Plan 9 and analyzed it, there were some areas in it that I thought would present. And of course, we heard from the public a couple of weeks ago about some of the issues, and we've heard some of them today in terms of retrogression and packing. And so that caused me to go back and look at the plan in a little bit more detail than even I had 2 weeks ago. And I found that there were, from what I saw, some particular issues in relation to it, in terms of retrogression and in terms of packing.
Can you define this for me?
Yes, in District 4, that was, I guess, what you would call a influence district, because the black population was in excess of 30%. Now, and actually I think it was closer to 40. Now that number is less than 20. Significant drop. In District 10, there's a 51% population, African American population, I believe. And I think you can provide us with the baselines for all of these districts as far as where they are today. And of course, in the last 10 years, there have been significant population changes in Caddo Parish, but particularly in the city of Shreveport. And in the city, 75% of the parish is the city. And that other 50,000, 54,000 that are outside of the city, I think half of them live in Dominique's district. I mean, the white population, I'm saying, of that 54,000. And then others, dispersed primarily in District 8, District 9, and kind of spread out between the about 3 other commission districts. And I think the numbers are there that support that a majority, not emerging, but that a majority minority district could be and should be created in the city of Shreveport. In District 10, like I said, currently I believe the population is 51%. Plan 9 takes that down to, I think, 36%. So is it, population, not voting age population? I mean, we can look at it right quick. I don't know if I have it right.
Can I respond to District 4 before then?
I understand the shifts and all of that. I mean,
Well, I want to get it on the record of why.
Okay, that's fine, but I'm just saying it's a significant drop.
It is a significant drop.
And it may be a drop that, that is unavoidable. I'm not sure that it is, because I think that there are a couple of precincts, if we do a little bit more shifting, that it could accommodate increasing the number of blacks in that district, or getting it back up. It may not ever get back to 37, but I think it can be increased from 19.22 or whatever it is. And let me go on through the other ones. In District 10, the black population has been decreased significantly. When you look at the current, in Plan 9 from what it is current. And of course, this is the same area that the state redistricting efforts centered around the Southern Hills area as well. And certainly they were able to draw a majority minority district at the state level in that area. And I think, certainly we should be able to do that at the parish level. The other district, for a district to be considered majority, it's got to be at least 50% voting age population. District 12 is not 50%, or at least 50% voting age population. District 10 in Plan 10B is. And so I'm kind of, when you talk about emerging is not protected under the Voting Rights Act. I mean, that's something, as somebody would say, looking forward. But we have to take the data as it exists today, the population as it exists today, and drawing the districts. And so those are my concerns with Plan 9.
Let's talk about District 4. District 4, in the current plan, in what you were elected on, is what would be a swing district, or would be an emerging district. We still have to talk about emerging, whether or not it's there or not.
Now, let me clarify, is emerging your term?
Emerging is coming forward. Emerging is a common term. It is showing a trend.
Okay.
Try an English word.
No, I saw, in the research I did, I saw influence district,
Yes.
I saw crossover district.
An influence district is where you have a significant amount of the opposite race in it.
Right.
An emerging district is one that is coming forward but is not there yet.
Okay.
So it's a similarity to an influence district.
Okay.
When I first started looking at this, and we talked about this in great swings of population, you referenced this, we had a lot of districts in which people moved in the last 10 years, and they moved in huge numbers. If you take District 4 as an island, you left it completely alone, you could, status quo, it would be there. But north of it is District 3, which is a minority district. And in the last 10 years, it hemorrhaged population. It hemorrhaged it to the point that to find population, to make sure that you don't have a retrogression, harm another black district, you have to find some of it someplace else. The eastern side of Highland, the area around Mr. Wells' neighborhood, offered that, and so it was put into 3 to bring District 3 back up to an acceptable amount within plus or minus 5% without harming the others. A huge amount of deficit in 3, and so yes, District 4 did go down, no doubt about it, but it protects a minority district to the north and puts it in adjacent to it.
Let me ask you, was there any effort to recruit that black population by going, to precincts adjacent to
Yes.
District 4? Say, for instance, Precinct 32 or Precinct 58?
Oh, yes. Prior plans, part of the process of looking through it creates those combinations. Just Plan 9 comes about through a consensus of talking to various commissioners, and it's an evolving thing. When you begin to come into the District 32, Precinct 32, and the precincts to the west of it, then you're talking about splitting up neighborhoods that have been traditionally together. And it's a matter of what the incumbents want to look at, and it's what people have said. There has been no derisive comments about that set of very dense precincts that are in District 5 or District 7, either way. Three could slide either to the southeast or to the southwest, as can 2.
Let me ask you, if for instance, in District 4, if the voting age population drops from 37 to 19 point something, could that conceivably be considered retrogression?
No, I don't think so. Not in the strictest terms. Because it was not a minority district. You can't retrogress a white district.
And dilute, could it potentially be dilution of African-American voting strength because it wasn't recouped somewhere else, it was just gone?
It is recouped somewhere, well, not in District 4, but it is in District 3. If you want to look at it as a series of lesser evils, I think it's more important to protect a viable current majority district than to heavily alter another. You can always refine, you can always move other things, around. District 4 is one of those. In talking to each of you multiple times, the issue in District 4, as opposed to protecting District 3, was really not an issue. It was more about protecting 3, and I certainly followed that. Now, let's talk about 12 and 10.
Okay, let me just insert this because I think there's probably still some opportunity, and I didn't do it in 10B because, as I said, it's not, it's Matthew's district, and largely I used Plan 9 and just tried to make fixes to those areas I thought that we would run into problems with pre-clearance from the.
I'm not sure there would be problems with pre-clearance.
Yeah, well, there's going to be some challenges, and I'm saying from what I've gotten from the community, that there's potential that there's going to be challenges based on some of these things, so.
There are challenges frequently in lots of different plans and lots of different
I
places.
understand, but we like to be a model, and if we can get as close to not have that protracted litigation or challenges or, that type thing with our plan, I think that would be ideal. I mean, for me.
It would be ideal.
I would rather us draw a plan than for the Justice Department, federal government to draw a plan for us, or to suggest that our plan be altered. That's just me. And I think we owe it to our constituents and to the citizens of Caddo Parish. I mean, we paid you $40,000. I don't want to pay a bunch of lawyers. More money when we have the capability of looking at this stuff fairly and equitably and trying to come up with a plan. And so I think there may still be some opportunities because District 6 and District 5, I think District 5 is like 89% black. District 6 is, 84%, I believe.
In which plan?
It may not be that much.
In which plan?
I'm sorry.
Which plan?
In 9, I mean, in,
We'll go back to start.
10, 9 or 10, I don't remember which one, but I'm saying there may be some room to put some of those into 4 to make up, to make up for that. And so those were my concerns. I didn't have any concerns with 12. I know it's not a majority-minority district, but my goal was to make those fixes and to create that 6th African-American district in the city of Shreveport. And so that's what Plan 10B. I don't have any questions about 12. Okay, so thank you.
Okay. Next we have Mr. Escudé.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have heard quite a bit of comments about, the process and everything, and I'm glad we delayed it 2 weeks. It gave everybody a chance to review the plans. It's a little disturbing to me because we had Dr. Cash's plan and we had Mr. Joyner's plan, and that's where we're going to give everybody time to digest, and then in the course of that, we get other people submitting plans last minute that nobody's had a chance to digest. I just recall that we hired Dr. Joyner and have in the past, he's done much work for the parish and other bodies, because he's an expert in his field. And his credentials are impeccable, and what he submits to the federal government is always passed. He's fair, he knows his business. If I'd realized that we had anybody that was an expert on this body, or even halfway qualified to submit plans, we could have saved us a bunch of money. We've done it internally. The reason we do it externally is to take the politics out of it. And now I think what we have is a process that's become politicized. For what motives, I don't know. By hiring Mr. Joyner, everybody had the opportunity to meet with him, give their input specifically, and let's admittedly, about the district that they represent, because that's probably where most of our concerns first and foremost lie, in the parish in general. My meeting with him was brief, as Commissioner Thibodeau's was. We would gain so much population, we were just going to have to give up a whole bunch. And that's fine. I've got a real tight district. It's always been real tight. Now I'm probably going to have the second largest district geography-wise in the parish because they had to give up so much. And I'm sorry that a bunch of Commissioner Pearson's constituents moved into my district, but I welcome them. But that's just, the price that we pay. I don't understand, and what I can't get by is all the argument for creating another black district. And I looked at the census data. We have 125,000 whites in this parish approximately, and 118,000 blacks. And I'm using those terms because that's how the Justice Department puts it. 6,200 Hispanics, 2,400 Asians, and about 1,600 Native Americans. Now, the Native Americans are the only ones who I'm going to call Native Americans because they're probably the only ones who were truly Americans. The rest of us, went and got over here somehow, whether by force or by free will, and took their land. So the rest of us just fall into that. That represents about 2% of the population. We have whites at 52, the black population at about, Mr. Joyner, 49, 47 with the black population, 4% other. We've got 6 districts that are represented are majority black, 6 that are majority white. The math balances. I mean, what are we asking to do? Imbalance what's balanced? Now, I've heard several people mention the city council. The city council was done 10 years ago in the last census, and those districts were adjusted reflective of the population base. There are more black districts in the city council than there are white. But I guess the confusion comes because in Councilman Wofford's district, Jeff Everson won the city council, and that's a majority black district. Well, they voted for him. I don't know why, but that's who they elected. So if there's not representative as far as color on the city council reflecting the districts, that was up to the voters of that district. You need to go to the people in Stoner Hill and the Highland area and ask them what they thought better about him than his opponent. Obviously something. So the city council's been balanced as far as the numbers, and the parish commission is balanced as far as the numbers, and it's balanced as far as the last census that was taken last year, and that's the numbers we're supposed to use, 2010. Those are the numbers. We're equally balanced and equally represented, and we do a good job. So I don't understand. It seems to me that, and I won't vote for any plan that alters the balance just for the sake of it. You're saying do away with the parity, do away with the fairness? Why? Because we think that the parish is trending a certain way, or we think a district may go another way? That's not part of the guidelines and the rules. We're not soothsayers. I don't have a crystal ball. I hope all these districts grow. Everybody up here knows how hard we're working in a couple of big projects with economic development to grow this parish. We have bred our residents, and we've bred them to Bossier Parish. And now we're worried about just, creating another district because we think we're going to continue to bleed into Bossier Parish. I don't buy that. I'm not willing to give it up. I'm going to fight for this parish and to keep the rest of our people here. But the numbers are almost equal. The seats are balanced. They're balanced now. They were balanced 10 years ago. They're fine. I'm not going to vote for anything that disturbs the balance, that takes away from the balance, that alters it, because it's fair. Because to do anything else would be unfair. Giving advantage to someone for no reason, with no data backing it up, with no guidelines that are from the Justice Department that say that we should do that. So if you're asking me to vote for something just for the sake of it, just to do it because the numbers don't support it, I'm not going to do that. Thank you.
Mr. Thibodeau?
I think Mr. Escalay looked over here and looked at my notes, because basically the same thing that he said is what I want to say, but with a couple additional things. Number one, as I look around the dais here, when we have an election in September or in October, I think we're going to have 6 blacks, 6 whites, probably going to have 6 Democrats, 4 Republicans, 2 independents. I really don't anticipate anything to change. And we are interested in the population of the parish, not the population of the city. Parish is 49-47. That's about as equal as you're going to get. If there were any district that might possibly change race-wise, it would be Mr. Cox's district. Although I don't think, because Mr. Cox does such a good job with his district, I don't see anyone defeating him. But if you just look at the numbers, there's a possibility, the highest possibility of another black district would be in your district. So let's say that happened. That would be 7/12, which is what, 56-57%, when the population's 49-47. So, as John said, we're working with the numbers off the census of 2010. It's not our job to try to figure out what's going to happen in 7 or 8 years. There'll be another census for 2020, and if there's some big changes, then we make big changes then. As far as the city population is concerned, I think our concern as commissioners is to deal with the parish. Although the city has a 55% white population, that needs to be dealt with when the city council goes through redistricting. That has nothing to do with us. Basically what we do is to deal with the commission and the school board this time. Now the school board, if you look at what they have, they're 6-6. We have, we'll throw the city in there. The top executive of the city is black. Top executive of the school board is black. Top executive of the parish is black. So I don't see where anybody is being left out or where anything's happening unfair. I think that blacks are well represented in terms of numbers. The reason that I like Plan 9 is because there were 8 other plans that came up before Plan 9. And in each of those plans, all commissioners, I said all commissioners, were given the opportunity to have input. everybody knew what changes were being made, if there were any changes in your district being made. With the other plans, nobody talked to me. I get something at 1 o'clock on Saturday that shows that 4 precincts of my district have been changed. No one ever called me or discussed it with me, and I'm sure mine is not the only one. So 9 was done, number one, by input from all commissioners, a lot of input. Total of 9 plans happened before the 9th one was done. 9 does not, it basically protects the black and the white seats is what it amounts to, except for District 10 is the only one that's really might be up for change as I see it. So, I don't see what the problem is. Why do we want to make something unbalanced when it's already balanced? And, with all due respect, I want to go with somebody that knows what they're doing. I want to go with a person who does this as a professional. I also want to go with somebody who has a track record, a long track record of doing these redistricting programs, and the Justice Department has approved them. And, Mr. Jordan has shown that. I don't know how many you've done. I know you do them more than just Caddo Parish. You do them all over the state.
Done over 100.
The big problem I had with the change of the one-off, the Lynch plan is you talked about commonality of interest, and it takes one of my neighborhoods and just slices it right in half. Well, why would you want to do that? Why do you want to slice a neighborhood in half? I'm almost, I guess if I cross the street, I'm going to be out of my district. That's about what it looks like. So what I'm asking is, let's take the plan that we as a commission asked to be put together, the one where we all had lots of input, and the one that doesn't put anything in jeopardy as far as race is concerned. In fact, it adds to the possibility of a 7th seat for blacks if that's how the vote goes. And I don't know what else to say, but it's a fair, it's a just plan, and I hope that's what we support.
That's it, Mr. Cox? District 10, District 10. We're in the center of controversy. But I don't call it controversy, I call it an opportunity. An opportunity to make sure that the next 10 years to the next census goes for the people, Caddo Parish and Southern Hills and District 10. I only talked to one person about plans. That was Mr. Joyner. I never got a call from Mr. Cash, which I would have received, and sat down with him if he would have called and asked me to. Never got a call from Ms. Lynch, which she knows I would have called, sat down with her, and told her my feelings. I did get a call from Mr. Coach Pearson. Friday night, Saturday night, something like that. But I called you back.
Yeah.
And he explained to me what they were working on, which, that's fine. When you take District 10 as a whole, and you look at the history of District 10 as a whole, I don't care who lives there. I don't care if you're African American, I don't care if you're Spanish, I don't care if you're Asian, I don't care if you're white. If you're in my district, I represent that district, and have proudly for the last 2 terms, and will proudly the next term. The number 9 plan works for me. It works for the people who call District 10 their home. Now, I told Mr. Escadade, and I also told Carl this over the phone, is that in 10 years, my district will probably be a minority district because people like it so much they're moving there. You don't have to take an annex of Jewella up into Sunset Acres to make a minority district, because in 5 to 10 years, this is me saying this, we'll probably be a minority. And I'll proudly serve the people who moved there then and the people who still live there now the same way. We have 6 minority districts, we have 6 white districts as we sit here today. I will vote for number 9. Proudly. If the Justice Department thinks otherwise, I will represent any district lines that are drawn. My preference is the number 9. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Ms. Baker?
Thank you, Mr. President. I just wanted, like Commissioner Bowman, let the record show that I have no problem with an African-American district, but not at the expense of District 6. And the reason why I'm saying that is because of the fact that, you know, everybody's been talking about their districts, District 10, District 4, but nobody looked at the fact that District 6 is just kind of getting what the pieces of what somebody else doesn't want. And the reason why I say that is because of the fact getting these last two plans, Plan 10A and 10B, which 10A taking me out of District 6, and then that I got in like in the past 48 hours within time to vote for an actual redistricting plan, and within that 48 hours, 24 hours later, that plan changed to District 10B, which I guess put me back in the district, but also taking one district out and changing it to another district. So my thing is this, is that when I met with you, Mr. Joyner, I thought it was, I thought that I was to sit down with you and actually look at the district and fix the district conducive to what I was serving as well as what the people in my district was wanting. The people in my district have been telling me one of the things that they most wanted was not to lose me as their commissioner. And that's why I sit down with you to fix the district where it would be conducive to the needs of the commission as a whole, as well as me continuing to be able to represent District 6 like I had planned to. And in this 9th hour plan, which is Plan B, I see one of the biggest districts that one of the biggest precincts that I represent has been taken out. So just to let the record show today, the reason why I am going with Plan 9 is because of the fact that that's the plan that you and I sit down and we came up with for Lindora Baker as Commissioner of District 6 to represent the people in that district. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. I think two things maybe. One thing is that, you know, we represent, as a parish, we don't represent just folk outside the city limits. We represent the entire parish, so whatever the entire parish's number, which includes City of Shreveport, those are the numbers that we deal with, and not necessarily those that are outside the city limits. The other thing is, and this is just, you know, procedural, and without getting on the soapbox, which, you know, I'm noted to do, but I think that one of our main issues is that we sit down with Mr. Joyner and do these things individually. And we take care of our districts and those, especially those areas in our districts that we feel that we are the strongest, and our base areas is what I call them. You know, but then we never, as a group of 3 or 4 or whatever that number is that's less, that keeps us from having to operate under the open meetings law and look at the entire plan. And when you don't sit down and look at the entire plan, you never really get a grasp of how one plan or one district affects another, or how the plan should look in terms of its racial makeup, its potential racial makeup, its movement, its all of those things that happen when people move. I mean, we lost everybody in the projects, and all of a sudden I'm -5. And when they moved, then we had to find somewhere to put them. But I mean, I didn't have a particular argument about, you know, my issue. We sat down in a few minutes and got, you know, District 3 dealt with. But I think that in the future, I won't be around here until we have the next census. But some of you who will, I think that you need to put together really some opportunity for commissioners to see these plans as a whole of Caddo Parish, so that you can begin to look at how all of the pieces of the puzzles fit together to make you know, one puzzle. And I think that's a lot of the issues that we all have, you know,
some of the issues that we all have a lot to do with the fact that we have never really taken a total look. We take a look at our individual districts, and if they fit, then I'm good. But just as a point of information, and that's all, Mr. President. I don't want to stand up on the box today.
All right, is there anyone that has not spoken? Ms. Lynch is on second go-round. We will go with Mr. Lynn next. Is there anyone else that has not spoken that would like to speak? Commissioners?
I haven't.
Okay, you, Jim? Okay, push him on the board?
Yes.
Okay, now, Mr. Johnson. Okay, we'll go with Mr. Lynn, Mr. Smith, and Mr. Johnson. Mr. Lynn.
I want to commend all the commissioners for the work that they've done, whether they're drawing their own plan or whether they're looking and tasking with all of the plans that have been written. What I see happening is people wanting to hold on to what they know, and people wanting to stay close to home, and people wanting to focus on the people that they have been focusing on. And if you've worked with a property owner who has a dog issue on the block, and you've been working with them for a year and a half, and you have two cantankerous neighbors, or two neighbors that aren't getting along with each other, and you've been able to create a peace, and then when you redistrict, you lose that, you hate to let go of that. Now, on the other hand, I can promise you that if you've created peace on a block and you lose that neighborhood, that piece is going to follow you later on down the road. I know that there's a lot of issues that have to do with the city that, for whatever reason, people call me instead of their city council person, and of course the first phone call I make is to the city council person. I say, so-and-so has an issue, this is their issue, would you like to take it, or would you like me to see what I can do with it? And they always say, you see what you can do with it, and then get back with me on that. And I see that the same way with this. Pretty much every plan that I have looked at, it kills me that Highland is cut in half. I'm losing everything to the east of Centenary Boulevard. I'm losing Stoner Hill. I'm losing Centenary College. And with that, I mean, I lived on the other side of Centenary when I first moved into Shreveport. And just recently sold the house that I lived in there. And so I have a lot of friends over there, and I'm going to miss them. However, in giving that area up to District 3, I've looked at hanging on to that area and then how it would affect, District 3 taking on the west side of I-49, and it's not going to get the votes from District 5. It's not going to get the votes from District 7 because it messes up them. And so the more I try to hang on to what I have, I see that it's just going to upset 7 other people. And then I look at what I have proposed, and I mean, I'm all the way stretched out towards LSUS on the District 9, and pretty much every single other plan. Every single other plan still has me, separated from everything east of Centenary Boulevard. And I look at that and I say, I can do that. Those people will like me, and I will certainly serve them. And I think that the commissioners, possibly some of them might be cutting themselves short, because everybody here can serve the whole city, the whole parish, and take care of whatever needs that a person has. And just because you left the neighborhood behind, don't think that they're not going to still be calling you. They'll be getting 2 commissioners for the price of 1, because they'll call up both of you.
Mr. Jordan, you can rest. In case we need to, we'll call you back up.
Thank you.
Okay. Sorry. Okay, go ahead, Mr. Lynn.
With that, at looking at everybody's plans and trying to put my own plan together and staying up late and beating my head against the wall because I know that I'm not going to get the votes for what I want because it messes up somebody else's district horribly, I'm going to settle for something that I don't necessarily like 100%. However, I'm going to settle for the map that was drawn by the only person that Caddo Parish hired and the only professional that did the list, and so I'll be voting for 9 today. Anyway, thank you, Mr. President.
Mr. Smith?
I guess I have a little bit different area, or at least I think I do have a different one. I have a area that has grown pretty good and going to grow more. It's grown by minorities moving in. It's grown by white folks moving in. When I started working with Mr. Joyner, I told him 2 things that I wanted to stay with my plan. You can't have any of my minorities, and you can't have any of my lower economic people. Why? Because that's the ones that need me, and that's the ones I try to help the most. I love them, and thankfully they seem to love me a little bit. But I love representing them, and I love working for them. So I'm very happy with my folks.
That's it, Mr. Smith?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Mr. Johnson?
I guess being a new kid on the block, it was an experience for me. What I did do is for the last 2 past elections, I've had 2 different areas where I had to campaign. And with this plan as well, I have a 3rd area where I have to go out and campaign. But the way I look at it is basically all the people that reside in District 2, I'm going to serve them 100% the best of my ability. Whether they're in it today or out of it tomorrow. What I did see is in doing this process, I lost a precinct and a half, but I also gained 3 precincts. Gained 3 to the north and lost 1.5 to the south. And I sat down with Dr. Joyner for probably about 3 hours one day, and basically between 9, 10, 10A, 10B, and even the cash plan, District 2 remains the same. So I think during that long time that I spent with Dr. Joyner, I think pretty much it solidified how District 2 should be. And with all the other plans, it pretty much showed the same thing, that it falls into the same category. So all plans being consistent for District 2, I'm open.
Okay. Mr. Dominique?
I guess everybody's spoken, so I better pop up. I know when we first started this, it's my understanding, that this is going to be a plan that is not going to make us 100% happy. There's going to be some changes, and it is in some difficult situations. There's been a few changes in my district. I think the hardest thing was getting the map correct with all the rural areas, and then when the changes did come about, it was on the smaller populated areas in Blanchard. And we're not 100% happy with this, but it's a fair plan from what I've seen. And y'all have said this, I hate to beat a dead bush, but we have hired an expert who's doing this over and over and over again. This is what he does for a living, and I will be supporting that plan, the Dr. Joyner plan. I think it's the best plan. Move forward.
That's it, Mr. Dominic?
Yes.
Okay, on the second go-around, Ms. Lynch?
Thank you, and I certainly appreciate all of the viewpoints of my colleagues. This is my first time going through a redistricting process, and I kind of kept a bird's eye view of what was going on at the state and thought, man, that can't be that hard, until I really kind of delved into this process. Ultimately, it is the commission's responsibility to submit a plan that is fair and that is equitable. Largely, as I said, after the community input that we got at our last meeting, I took another look at what we had and the information that came in, and saw clearly what some of the input that we were getting back from the community, that there was an opportunity to create a majority-minority district in District 10. And with that as a basis, I went back to Mr. Joyner, and largely, if you look at the precinct makeup of 10B, probably 70% of it is Plan 9. The districts that were particularly affected in 10B were Districts 5, which is Commissioner Bowman, District 6, Commissioner Baker, my district, which is District 7, and 10. Those 4 districts I had a predominantly black district. I think maybe about between 82 and 85% black. Commissioner Bowman has 90%, had a currently.
89.
I'm saying currently, 89 point something. I think once you round it up, it's 90%. Commissioner, Baker district was about 76, between 76, 78% black. And there is really no, I guess, reason for those districts to be that concentrated, if you will. And that gave an opportunity for, in looking at District 10 and looking at that area and the current population, to create a minority district in 10. The effect of doing that, of course, it's going to have a domino effect on other districts. There were a few changes in 8 and 9, and as well as a few other districts, minor changes. Some districts didn't change at all. District 1 didn't change at all. 2 didn't change at all, as he said, and some others didn't really change. I think there's also a misnomer about what constitutes a majority African American district. Just because you see 6 African Americans up here does not mean that there are 6 majority African American districts. There are only 5 in the parish. One district is majority white. They elected an African American to represent them. So I think that's something that we need to have on the record. Also specifically to District 6, Plan 10B actually put more precincts that you currently represent, Lindora, back in your district than Plan 9 does. It put Precinct 50 back, which split Cedar Grove and had it in 8, and it also gave you back the Spring Lake area. And so I think if you would look at your current districts that you currently represent and look at Plan 10B, you'll see more of your current district in 10B than what's in 9. So I just want to have that on the record. Also what 10B does, like I said, it creates that African American district, and it also, my district in particular, and I felt when I said this to Mr. Joyner, I said, if you had shown me this configuration for my district, I would have choked you with my bare hands. Did I not say that?
Yes, you did.
Because I represent now a district that's, I think, about 85% black. Plan 9 takes me to, I think, 82%, I believe. Plan 10B, the one that changes were made to create this African American district in District 10, I go to 67%. 68, yeah. No, I think it's in the 60s. It's right at 70%. So for me personally, I mean, I sat down with Mr. Joyner and certainly looked at the map from my district and what I was comfortable with. But as I said 2 weeks ago, my role as the liaison to the Justice Department is to look to see if our plan is not in violation of the one that we're considering, proposed plan, is not in violation of the Voting Rights Act. And I don't think we have a legal analysis. Do we have a legal analysis on the proposed Plan 9 as far as whether it meets Gingell's or any of the voting rights cases to ensure that what we have drawn and what we are presenting, have we done a legal analysis on this proposed plan?
I don't have anything in writing, Commissioner, but I've been working with Dr. Joyner throughout this process, and I think it's safe to say that we're comfortable that under contemporary standards, Plan 9 should be approved by the Justice Department. Obviously, if the Commission adopts Plan 9, there will be opposition to its approval, as you've heard today, and so there's no guarantee. But it appears to both Dr. Joyner and myself that it would comply with the contemporary standards for approval by the Justice Department.
Okay. And certainly, some of those issues, we talk about experts and who did, I don't have the software or the data or the statistical information. Gary has all of that. And so, when we met, we moved things around, talked about different things. No, you can't do this. This puts this person over. We got to get this under. So, I don't have any expertise on drawing a plan, certainly. He has all of that information, and certainly we use that information, and as I said, made those changes strictly from the plan that he had created. I still stand by that the numbers clearly show we have 5 African-American majority districts in Caddo Parish. The population has changed such in the city as well as in the parish, because I believe when I was elected in '03, blacks comprised about 43%, I'm saying in '03, about 43% of the parish. Now it's 47%. And so we've seen in the city, 10 years ago, it's been dramatic. And those necessitate changes in electoral representation. It's going to be based strictly on the numbers, not future numbers, but what is happening right now. And certainly that plan reflects that, and that'll be the one that I'm supporting that creates the majority African-American, majority minority district in District 10. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to take personal point of privilege. Everyone has had an ample say. I appreciate the public that came out and made their comments. I appreciate the commissioners. I went slightly unorthodox as to our agenda. However, I wanted everybody to feel comfortable, make sure that you had an opportunity to relate your concerns as openly and clearly and as articulate and in length as possible. And I think we have done that. So at this time, we'll move to the next item on the agenda, will be ordinance for final passage of ordinance number 5101 of 2011, and the chair recognizes Mr. Thibodeau.
I move for passage of ordinance number 5101 of 2011, and that we move to the adoption of what we're calling Plan 9.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Thibodeau that we go for the adoption of ordinance number 5101 of 2011 regarding reapportionment of Caddo Parish and supporting Plan 9, and seconded by Mr. Cox. Under debate, the maker of the motion, Mr. Thibodeau.
Yeah, I think I've pretty much said everything I need to say in regards to why I favor this plan. But I did want to, one statement I made before was that when the election is over in October, that there'll be 6 blacks and 6 whites, but I didn't say it would be the same 6 blacks or the same 6 whites. So I want to be sure that, at least for myself, I don't take it for granted that I will be here. And that's what I want to clear up. It may not be the same 6 and 6. That's all.
Mr. Cox. Well, but Coop being here, I think we'll be back simply because of the way we run this parish and what we've done with this parish in 8 years that I've been here. Lori, I love you to death, but one of the comments you made earlier was, we're the laughing stock of Louisiana. I don't think so. I think we're the pride of Louisiana, simply because of the way we hold our heads high, simply the way we do our decisions. We are one of the most profitable, well-run parishes in this state. When Baton Rouge needs a question answered and they're looking for either support or an opposition or just a, how do you feel about a question down in Baton Rouge, they call us. Simply because we look at it, we take it over the codes, we bring back an answer that is not just good for a certain group, it's good for all of Louisiana, it's good for all of Caddo, it's good for all of Shreveport. That's what we've done, that's what we'll continue to do. Number 9 is the plan that we need. Number 9 is what we should vote on here today to be fair for everybody. And I agree with everybody else. Everybody made the comment is to, no matter how the outcome goes, we're still going to have people that we represent. and as Mr. Thibodeau and Ms. Lynch and Mr. Smith and everybody set up here, no matter how these lines are drawn, we're here to represent you, the people of Caddo Parish. That's our job. That's what you elect us to do. So, but as far as my behalf, I think Plan 9 is the better plan for everybody involved. Thank you, Mr. President.
All right. Please forgive me if you all would let me just interject. I'd like to offer 2 minutes to Dr. Cash. Well, you know, even when we have public hearings, you know, we do have rebuttals. So I had made that when he asked me.
Why you keep looking at me?
So we like to say one piece.
Cash, I guess he's going to have to give you the brush.
All right, 2 minutes, Dr. Cash.
Thank you so much. And once again, I am glad we're having this discussion. You know, it makes my heart do well, because we're having this discussion about race. And I think it's important that we have this discussion. One of the things, now had we had this discussion early on, you know, we may have been able to solve this problem. One of the things that I looked at, I talked with Craig Lee back there just a moment ago, and Craig Lee, as you all know, he does a lot of things, but one thing he does do is he knows numbers. And I represented Notre Dame High School in math, but he has a hold on that. And then also, I noticed something that my friend John Escudé said, and you got to look at the whole picture, John. This geography was one of my better suits at Grambling. And so geography says that there are more whites on the outside than there are on the inside. So District 10 fall within. And so the other districts, some of the other districts are without. So you got to look at the geography of it before you start saying it's 6-6. And likewise. Now, we got to realize that these districts belongs to the people. They don't belong to an individual. I didn't call you, David, because I didn't want y'all input. Because you're human, and you're going to look out for yourself. And that's the only thing I've been hearing, self. The majority of you talked about yourself, and that's a shame that we're so selfish. And so I want to encourage you, the Bible says this, the Lord is my shepherd and I shall not want. So when we want something in a district, we ain't following the Lord.
Thank you. Okay, seeing no further requests for debate.
I thought I had pushed my...
Okay. No, it's over. Ms. Lynch?
Yes. Oh, I wanted to make a substitute motion for Amendment 2 to Ordinance 5101, which is Plan 10B.
Advise for lack of second. Okay. Seeing no further requests. Ms. Bowman?
Yes, I'd like to make a substitute motion for ordinance number 5101 for the cash plan.
Second.
Okay, moved by Ms. Bowman, seconded by Ms. Lynch for substitute motion 5101 of 2011 for Dr. Cash plan number, what's the cash plan?
No, cash plan. Amendment 1.
Amendment 1. Okay. Any discussion? Okay, seeing none, the substitute motion was made second. We'll vote on it first. All in favor, once it come up, of the cash plan, vote yes. All opposed, no. That motion fails. And I will state that it takes 7 votes. This is an ordinance. Now, Mr. Thibodeau's motion, ordinance number 5101 of 2011, endorsing plan number 9. All in favor? Vote yes, and all opposed? No. Okay, that motion passes. Plan 9 will be submitted. Being no further requests for any business, move for adjournment.
So moved.
Adjourn.